Okay, so if you're interested in self-development, healing emotions, spiritual development, and these kinds of things, you have a nearly infinite amount of offers when you go online. There's a million courses on how to have this and that, be better at this and that, and anything you might want to have. You'll find courses telling you in 7 weeks, 10 weeks, 5 steps, whatever, you'll learn how to do X, Y, Z and how to get what you want. Since a year, I have a new interesting measuring stick that is so obvious now to me and so funny and fundamental that I don't know how I could not have found that earlier. But the base premise is, if there would be the one thing that would work for everyone, like many of these courses suggest, because there is no qualifier like you have to be this and this and that, or in this and this and that situation or state, and then you might have these and these outcomes. No, it's just like, if you want to have XYZ, then do this course. And if any of these approaches, methods, tools would work for everyone every time, then we would have 8 billion happy people on this planet having exactly what they want, right? So what I want to offer today is a is an introduction, and it's going to be a series of videos that offer an explanation and a model for why, after years or even decades of you trying to, let's say, find inner peace or whatever it is that you're looking for, and you do emotional freedom technique, yoga, meditation, this retreat, this course, that course, and you spend a lot of money and a lot of time, and you do this very committed and very dedicated. And at the end of the day, after years or decades, and I met many of those people, very dear, very sweet, very honest people that really did whatever they could to reach what they wanted to improve or heal in themselves. At the end of the day, they say, well, very honestly, I still feel for the major part as crappy, or fill in whatever it is that you wanted to heal or transcend or integrate, or whatever your wording is. Yeah. And I think the one thing that's missing in I call it the spiritual industry. So an industry is individuals and companies that work in a specific field. So there is the health industry, there is the movie industry, these are people who make movies, there is the pharmaceutical industry, there is the car industry, and so on and so on and so on. And so we also have a spiritual industry. That's also important for many people to understand. It's an industry, so people are in there to make money, and if making money becomes the primary goal, then that's the same as with the health industry. You have a innate conflict of interest, because like with medicine, if it will work, you would have no more sick people. So you're going out of business. So if your course works, there's no need to do a second course for people to buy a second course, because if your first course is already good and works, then people won't come back. But that's another topic now. That's just all, little things to become aware of. And the model I want to share with you that has a lot to do with music. It's a sonification of a worldview, and I'm going to use lots of images, visuals, and here something like that. This one is not a good one, but I'm refining them, and especially music, because after now a good 30 years or longer of also ripping my heart and mind and soul out and putting it back together and trying to heal and whatnot, I honestly think and feel that words are the least helpful tools, the least helpful ways to explore, discuss anything related to the soul, human existence, emotions, the heart, psychology, and these things. You can use words, but I think, the saying, I think it's in English the same, an image is 1,000 words. So, and with music, it's even different, and it's there now after hundreds of years of science and natural sciences, and natural sciences using a lot of mathematics, and mathematics again can be visualized. They start to notice that if you use sound, it's called sonification of data. So you have, you do experiments and you have your data, and instead of visualizing them, so you see them with your eyes, you sonify them, so you make them audible. And they now have studies showing that researchers find different things when they listen to the data, because the ear is connected to another aspect of the soul that has a different perception and experience of sound. So, but that's not really the reason why I'm using sound. I'm just I wish I could have been a musician, but I'm not. So I'm dabbling with music and composition and so on. But I'm not a trained musician. But I worked as a sound designer, and so I have enough knowledge of sound, frequencies, overtones, rhythms, frequency spectrums, and all that kind of stuff, to, over the last 30 years, start to make sense of my personal experiences with all kinds of different states of consciousness, different teachers and paradigms that I explored very committedly over decades, and some really avant-garde forerunner physics. It's not based in quantum physics and not on general relativity, but it's called universal psychotheory, and that makes a lot of sense, and that's the only framework that I found helps me understand my personal journey, my life, what happens more or less on this crazy planet, why people do what they do, and many of these questions. So if you're interested to have a new, maybe a little bit odd, not odd, but unconventional, unusual, not the mainstream view on, why do you feel what you feel? Why do you think what you think? Why is your life going the way it goes? And why is this planet such a mess? And what's the purpose of life? And where do we go? Where do you come from? All these things. Why are you here? Who are you? What are you? I think I can offer something that at least gives you not the same answers that you heard a million times, from Eastern spiritual traditions that have become so popular in the Western world, mainly because of the vacuum, because the original Western pre-Christian spiritual roots of the white people were completely eradicated. And so then after decades and a century of being completely disconnected from any spirituality except the mainstream big monotheistic religions, there comes the Eastern spiritual traditions, and it became, that's another industry. The whole Buddhism is an industry. So yeah, if you're curious, then I invite you to my R&D, research and development notes on soul physics. That's something I develop. Maybe it'll become a book, maybe not, maybe a film, maybe not. I don't know. It's certainly something I've been working on since I was 13, and now I think it's time for me to, excuse the language, barf out what has been accumulating in me, because I always was too shy to open my mouth, or felt too stupid to say anything. And now I have reached the age where I care less if people think that I'm stupid. So yeah, it's called Soul Physics 101 R&D notes, and it's gonna be messy. I haven't structured the material yet. It's just tons and tons of notes that I accumulated over the decades and all kinds of stuff. But I'm gonna bring it, there's many iterations. I'm gonna bring it more and more into a form. Yeah, so let's see. I see you in the first course, and I think we're gonna start with vibration. See you then.